everyone, welcome back to Market Updates featuring by Marketsall and Rationale. Last week financial markets faced strong political headlines, especially around new tariffs, but overall the market stayed balanced. Technology stocks continued to perform well and crypto markets showed strong momentum heading into this week. While President Trump's announcement of higher tariffs created some uncertainty, investors stayed focused on company earnings and the inflation numbers that came just before this video. Nvidia also reached $4 trillion USD valuation, and Bitcoin started this week with a record high, helped the risk on sentiment. So let's first start with the CPI number that we just received before I was recording this video. So first of all, the CPI report released, and overall it came in very close to expectation, but with a few details worth paying attention to. First of all, headline CPI month-over-month number rose 0.3%, matching with forecasts. The core CPI month-over-month came in slightly below expectation at 0.22%. The expectation was 0.3%, and the year-over-year headline inflation increased from 2.4% to 2.7%, while core CPI rose from 2.8 to 2.9. Both are in line with market expectations. So this marking the fifth straight month where core inflation has come in below expectations, which continues to give the Fed some room to keep the interest rates elevated. That's why they're just they're not rushing into it, right? So however, despite earlier concerns about a tariff related price pressures, there is no major sign yet inflation picking up in some categories expected to be affected by a trade policy. So that's the mentality. So because of the potential impact of tariffs, some Fed members are still hesitant on cutting rates fastly, and apparently President Powell also one of them, and inflation numbers this kind of inflation number that is coming low is putting kind of pressure on them, as the government side, especially President Trump, is pressuring them to cut rates as fast as possible. So for example, when you look at the goods inflation, it was very low at just a 0.04%. Used cars down 0.7%. You can also see in this table airfares down by 0.7%. New cars down 0.3%, which also an important item to watch, used cars and watch. So as you might recall, that shelter side was the problematic part on the inflation end. The shelter inflation slowed from 0.3% to 0.2%. That's also a good sign in terms of the disinflation path that they're trying to reach. But when you take housing out, they're looking into an inflation called super core inflation, which excludes shelter inflation, and we saw some momentum up there. So super core inflation month over month data up 0.2%, and super core year over year now around a 3%, showing some stickiness. It's not coming down. So the service side is much more problematic than the core goods side. That's obvious. And the service category inflation rose from 0.2 to 0.3%. That's still being the key area to watch in the inflation. And also another item, the 3-month annualized inflation, is another important part that needs to be watched closely, as in order to do some evaluation on trend of the inflation. So on that side, headline inflation is 2.30%, and super core is 1.94. So the bottom line, we can say that the inflation data won't likely change the Fed's cautious stance right away, especially with a tariff related price impacts likely like showing up more in maybe July or August. But it's obvious that if we see one more like soft inflation, or like maybe if we see some weak jobs report, Fed rules would be staying like a lot of under pressure. They will be pushed to cut rates in that scenario. So now I would like to switch to the chart section, and while I'll go through the latest developments in specific major financial instruments, I would also like to show their charts with them. So yeah, first of all, I would like to start with equity markets, and here you can see the S&P 500 index futures chart. S&P fell like 0.8% on Monday after I'm talking about the last week, with the announcement of the goods from like 14 countries would face new tariffs around like 40%. Then, but like we saw that in the midweek, like the confidence got back, and Nvidia rose again, and like both like S&P 500 and Nasdaq reached like a new highs on Thursday, before like declining slightly on Friday due to more tariffs concern. So when we look at the chart here, I can say that. So in the weekly chart, if you remember, I was following this. Maybe it's better to show this monthly chart. When you look at my chart's always like a logarithmic. As you can see, this parallel channel is the main trend. So when you go a little bit deeper, you can see that there is not a perfect one. There's a cup and handle-ish, or cup with handle chart pattern is formed, and we saw a breakout. In the cup with handle formation, we would like to see around like 10% below or higher than the previous top of this to see that handle to be formed, and that's what we see around here. And while we evaluate this, it's better to see until this moment to see a rejection to bears. As you can see, the volume is increasing, then a positive volume comes here, this part, the 7th of April. With this positive volume, like very high positive volume, we saw that the price got rejected around here. Then as you can see, the trend of volume is not escalating, is not like increasing that much, but at least it's increasing up until here. It's like a below average. That's my only concern on this formation. I would like to see after this bottom, if we see some increasing volume also with the higher bars, that I would feel more confident with this breakout. But anyway, like up until here, we saw this upward movement, then it consolidated here. Then this day, Monday, 23rd of June, this is weekly chart, we saw this breakout. And maybe we can, if we come to daily chart, we might see those volume patterns much better. As you can see here, we saw like this is the bottom, and then the volume, the green bars are like a 10-day like 10-day pocket volume, volume pocket pivot, which is like the highest volume within the latest 10 positive days. That means, as you can see, there's a like volume building in daily chart up until here. That's a positive sign. So then it got back, doing this handle-ish movement. Then we see a breakout and movement like this. So that's what I'm following. And when you go to the weekly chart, it's like pretty normal to see some pullback around this area. As you can see, Nvidia is like also same. In today's video, I'll show you some financial instruments that seem like pretty identical in terms of like forming the chart pattern. I've seen a lot of like a cup with handle chart pattern formation in major instruments, and they got all like we saw some like a breakout activity that I'm monitoring. When you go to the daily chart in Nvidia, as you can see here, this maybe it's better to see here. As you can see, up until this consolidation, the handle side is not that obvious here. Maybe in the daily chart, let me try to show, but here, as you can see, there's a consolidation, and the breakout occurred here. This, I mean, I had mentioned this Nvidia chart in the previous video. That's why I'll skip quickly this one now. So yeah, this was the US equity side. So what about EU, like Eurozone? The DAX index rose like a midweek on hopes like a US and EU trade deal, but fell on Friday after like a more tariff headlines. Stocks in sectors like automotive and like luxury goods saw some noticeable price changes. So when we come to like DAX chart, as you can see here, another cup with handle. If we consider this this top is like the top of the cup, like cup side. Here we saw this movement, right? Then a breakout. Sorry, let me do this with an horizontal chart. Then we saw this breakout activity with a high volume, as you can see here. Then it's pulling back. Now it's testing short-term moving averages of 10-day, 21-day moving averages. That's what I'm watching. But it's pretty normal to see after this cup with handle a breakout, then pulling back. I'm watching closely these short-term moving averages if it will manage to stay above these moving averages to see if this price action will resume. But for the ones like for the breakout traders, you can use this pullback opportunity to be long. When I'm trying to like when I'm using pullback opportunities as as an order entry opportunity, I'm generally like seeking to have some below average selling volume. As you can see here, these like dark gray volume bars are just below this 50-day moving average of volume pattern. So that's why it might be worthwhile to give a shot on this one as well. Another, like the UK 100 index hit a new record on Thursday, driven by a rally in especially in mining companies, which like benefited from rising on copper prices. And on Friday, like a weaker GDP data caused the index to lose some of the gains. But as you can see, this bar like Friday. But as you can see here, another cup with handle, upside handle, breakout, pulled back, and trying to move. Still, this cup with handle price action is there, and yeah, and in summary, what I would like to say is like the global equities managed to hold steady, helped by like a strong technology sector performance and early signs of some like solid earnings. So let me skip to digital assets. Like Bitcoin crossed like a 122k and like setting a new record after like a rising steadily last week. ETF demand like remains strong. IBIT rose 4.2%, and now it holds over 700k Bitcoin. Ethereum also rose above like a 3k. Other major cryptocurrencies like Ripple, like Solana also closed the week higher. So technically, as you might recall, I was mentioning this trend line. I still believe that trend line is pretty strong, but I was mistaken on, at least up until now. Maybe we can see afterwards, but I was expecting to some convergence to this trend line before making this kind of breakout. As you can see here, another cup with handle. This is a weekly chart, by the way, and the length of the cup with handle is around like a 23 weeks, which is like generally we would like to see some maybe like a 10 week to 50 week or something. That I mean, what I observe is they're the most like reliable ones in general. But yeah, without this like a huge convergence up until like 95k, it managed to break out this cup with handle chart pattern, and now we see some little like a pullback activity. But with the rates coming down, with the real rates coming down, and as long as the risk on sentiment being preserved, we can say that the uptrend is still intact in digital markets. At least nothing to say bad on it right now. Ripple chart in daily one, you can see there's a head and shoulder like bottom chart pattern being formed, and a breakout occurred. We might see some pullback activity toward this like moving average lines. Then I would I think we might see the resumption of this breakout in Ripple. So this was another like a trade idea that was sent through Rationale newsletter service. If you just like want to receive these kind of trade ideas directly to your inbox, just you can become a member of Rationale community from the link below the video. And yeah, apart from this, like let me skip to commodities side quickly. Before that, let me show you Solana. In Solana, I'm watching this also not formed yet, but there is also in the weekly chart pretty long-term cup with handle is formed, and we might see some activity like this. I just wanted to show that's how I'm watching this. Also, when you go to the daily time frame, there is this kind of ascending triangle might be cooking here, and the horizontal line here around like 180 levels are like like a short-term resistance that we can say. So copper was major driver in the commodities. Copper price jumped like driven by concerns that tariffs will impact supply and trade flows. And I'm watching this weekly maybe it's better, this rectangle chart pattern in copper. And last week you can see this bar after this low volume, just below average volume of I don't know, since April, the mid-April up until now. Then we saw a breakout with a high volume. I think it's still like it will still offer some opportunity to be long in copper if we see some pullback. And apart from that, like gold stay flat around like 3,350 levels. And when you go to do like a weekly chart, as you can see, there's a like, you can call this like a bullish flag maybe. And the lower, like higher lows of this trend is also like at the same level with the short-term moving averages. That's why it's worthwhile to watch. But if we see some action, I will be watching breakout of this prior high of 3,450 levels. But still, with the rates coming down, I mean, not like you can, I mean, I couldn't, like, it's really difficult to suggest on gold to be just, I don't know, overrating your portfolio from these prices. But still, I don't see any major reason to sell gold, especially within this like a tariff related uncertainty that's going on. But we might see some relief if these tariff deals are like set, and maybe like if some like a risk on instruments going to trade higher towards the end of this year. The source, the flow, like a fund source might be gold, as people, as funds are already like pretty exposed in gold. But yeah, at least like also flags are like both directional chart patterns. That's why I'll be watching a potential breakdown if the price action turns into bearish side. And silver, as I mentioned, this also silver also like still like supporting the gold price, because silver did not manage to catch up with the gold prices up until now, and the silver's being feature of being used in the manufacturing, plus his feature to be a precious metal in such an environment where the rates are coming down. It's like I mean, it's still, the uptrend is intact. So the price target of this rectangle chart pattern is around like a 40 levels. And yeah, that's still I mean, as you can see, any kind of like pullback to the short-term moving averages could be used as like a buying opportunity. This was one of the trade idea that I had mentioned in like earlier weeks as well. And yeah, in general, that's those are the charts that I would like to talk about this week. So what's ahead? On Wednesday, there's gonna be PPI number and beige book, and we're gonna receive earnings from banks, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America. Thursday, we're gonna receive U.S. retail sales, earnings from Taiwan semiconductors, Netflix, and etc. Friday, there's gonna be U.S. housing starts, which is important in terms of the rates, also the housing inflation or related data. Earnings from like American Express. Also, there's gonna be like a Fed speakers, Bowman, Williams, and other topics that might be watched. There's like a possible Eurozone reaction to Trump's new tariff data flow, and there's some crypto regulation also ongoing updates that we need to watch those updates from US. And yeah, overall, that's all I'm going to talk about this week. We would be glad if you like our video and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to support us, if you would like to see more content like this from Marketsall YouTube channel. And don't also forget to subscribe to the Rationale newsletter service from the link below the video if you want to receive all these trade ideas directly to your inbox. And that's all I'm gonna talk about. I wish you a really nice week. Have a wonderful day. Bye.